Good morning, Himanshu. Morning, Laura. Morning, Eddie. How are you? All right, good morning, everybody. I'm glad that you're here this morning. I'm very excited to be here with you. I know that we all are busy folks, and yet you chose to be here this morning for the next hour, where I'm going to be sharing with you what is it that you're going to be learning in the NLP certification. What is NLP to start with, getting you, prepared, hopefully excited. By the end of the call, you'll walk away with some big picture tools around what is NLP, why do I need to learn it, how that's gonna change my life, and you probably will have some questions for me that you'll be able to ask, and I'll be able to respond to these questions so that you are well prepared, you are excited, and you are moving forward towards a clear path on what is it that you're going to be getting out of this NLP training. All right. And I know that some of you are even not here in this country. Some of you are a different time zone. And all of you are joining here today. Some of you will be flying from different places to come to this NLP certification. So my goal, and my also my partner, I'm going to introduce you here in a little bit. He's going to be training. The hypnosis piece of the certification. He's going to be flying from New York, and I'm going to welcome him in a minute. So I see that still people are still coming here. We're around 12 people so far, which is very exciting because the energy in the room is what's going to create change. The content is going to calm my energy. I'm going to do the best that I can to make sure that it's going to be worthwhile for you. 5 days of investment of time. You're investing the money to be here, to be in the training. So I want to make sure that this is going to be well worth it, that you are going to walk away with powerful tools that's going to shape your mind, change your thinking, change your feelings, your state around, things that you're doing in your life. Get some clarity on what's your next steps, discover and explore more of your purpose, and move forward with intention. Okay, so thank you all again for being here on this call. Right now it's 7:03 here Arizona time. I know it's different times somewhere else. So with that being said, let's go ahead and kickstart this baby. I'm going to introduce, some of you, most of you know me, some of you don't. Just a quick introduction. I've studied NLP myself. It's interesting because I came to this country back in year 2000 and went to Arizona State University. I studied engineering because I'm originally from Lebanon, and if you're not an engineer or a doctor in Lebanon, they don't really consider you educated. So I studied engineering, and in 2006 I graduated. I realized that, you know what, there's something else there for me besides, sitting behind a desk and try to, make the process goes faster, or try to design a screwdriver or something. I want to be with people. I want to be in front of people. I know I'm meant to do something bigger. How many of you on this call, feel like you're meant to do something bigger than what you're already doing right now? I presuppose I see Dr. Harsini raising his hand. Yes, I know you are, and many of us do. Yet, not many of us, they have the courage to be able to raise our hand and step into the purpose that we're called into. So with that being said, I started my own business. I was in the car industry for 8 years. From 2004, I started until the economy crashed in 2008. And 2 years later, and $420,000 later, I was wiped out with my savings. I received a foreclosure letter on my house, and I got collectors just knocking in the door. And here I am. I'm just not sure what to do. I feel like everything around me is kind of like crumbling. I'm looking around me like it's more like of a tree of life in a way. So I'm not a great drawer, but just like imagine this is a tree, and if this is a tree right here, that means that these probably here will be some fruits, right? So and I'm looking at these fruits right there, and I'm seeing that these fruits are like saggy. They're not tasty, and they're bitter, and I became bitter as a result. So I don't know what to do. And as I'm looking around me, like I started praying for these fruits to become better. I started, wishing that they become better. I started imagining becoming better. The law of attraction taught us to, picture. And when we picture, we feel. And when we feel, we attract. Okay. So, I started doing all of that stuff. However, not a whole lot started changing. I started becoming a better visualizer, but that was about it. So until I started, doing some research around how do I'm able to, do the things that they're telling me. So it's not just, change your thinking, but also change your behavior and change your attitude. So in the law of attraction, they taught us they taught us, what to do, but they never taught us how to do it. So that's when I just immersed myself into research on the science of how to able to model excellence, how to able to do what successful people are doing, how to able to, take the behaviors, be motivated, how to be able to manage my money better, how to be able to attract my ideal, soulmate. how to able to start a business that is lucrative, how to able to pursue my purpose without fear that's been stopping me. So all these questions that I had in mind, that's what got me into jumping into learning and discovering NLP, because what NLP claimed, that there is a science of how to, but also it's not just the tools of toolbox, but it's also, like my friend Mark shared with me yesterday, that it's not just a toolbox, but it's also an attitude and behaviors. So it's a way of being, in a way. Curiosity is the attitude, and like Tony Robbins talks about, that success always leaves clues. And when you are able to follow these clues, you are able now to model them. So with NLP, you're able to model excellence. And Bill Clinton studied NLP, Oprah Winfrey studied NLP, Sir Richard Branson studied NLP, Obama studied NLP, and many others, right? And many others. So with that journey, I started implementing what I'm learning. And I don't want to give you the end of the story yet, but I'm going to introduce here my good friend Mark Siegel, who's speaking to us from New York, who's going to be chiming into this presentation. And again, this is a series of presentation, meaning today is the first day, and every Wednesday we are going to do it until the certification day, and then after the certification day, we're going to continue that as well. So, but between now and Wednesday, the purpose of these presentations, the purpose of these meetings, is to prepare you for the certification, so that you come into the certification and the big picture. We don't need to spend time on the big picture, so that we can just dive into the tools, dive into the patterns that's gonna shape your thinking, change your feelings about things, and it's gonna give you clarity to make a difference in your own life and in the lives of your clients. NLP is one of the most powerful tools you can carry in your toolbox, that's going to make instant change within yourself and within people with with ease. Okay, so Mark, he's talking to us here from New York. Just want to introduce you, Mark. I met Mark at an NLP training, not surprisingly, in Las Vegas. And we invested 3 weeks together. We were roommates. What's amazing about Mark, he's we talk about, it's not just doing NLP. It's not something that you do, but it's a way of being. And Mark, everything that comes out of his mouth is NLP. Whether you are just having a conversation about where we're gonna go to lunch, or we are sitting in a classroom and we are brainstorming, it's his way of being. He's very unconsciously competent. He's unconsciously competent, but it's also even one step more higher than that. He's more of a master, because he walks the talks. He implements NLP every day. And I'm very excited that he's going to chime in here, and he's going to come to the certification, and he's going to be teaching hypnosis online and in person as well. I'm going to give it the stage to Mark to introduce yourself real quick. Mark, go ahead.
I'm unmuted? Okay, great. So welcome everybody. And like Cal was talking about, NLP is really an attitude. My quick definition of NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. So neuro is our 5 senses, the way that we take in information. You see things, you feel things, you hear things, you taste things, you smell things. So we take in information. Linguistics is language, the way that we process or make sense of that information. So a word like chair, we understand, okay, chair, it's something I can sit in. So we make sense of it by the words, the labels that we put on it. But the word chair is not a chair. It just represents chair in our mind. So neuro is the way we take in information. Linguistics is the way we process or make sense of that information. But then programming is the patterns or the habits that come from that. So the preface behind NLP is that if you change any one of the 3, it affects the other 2. And it's learning how to use language to shape people's thoughts, behaviors, and attitudes. So I know we have a mixed group here today. I'm not sure if you're here to learn NLP to transform your own life. I hope you are. Even if you're looking to use it as a coaching tool, if you work at coaching others, or if you're looking to help people therapeutically to make changes in their lives, or you're just looking to help out friends and family, or you're just looking at it as an extra tool that you can use to shape your attitude and to come as the best version of yourself into any situation that you're in. So when I studied many years ago with Robert Dilts, who's one of the founders of the field of NLP, along with Richard Bandler and John Grinder, Robert Dilts says, at some point of just learning NLP, it's not a tool that you use. It's not a thing that you do. NLP in and of itself is like saying words, like words are great, but just knowing words doesn't make you a poet or an author or a speaker. It's how you use those. And it's not just being a poet or an author or a speaker, but it's having something to talk about or to write about. So NLP is a great tool when you apply it to something that you're already doing. And the first thing to apply it to is, I'm sure Cal will attest, and I've seen personally just from meeting him, is to apply it to yourself. There's two things that you get from any field of endeavor. One is, as you learn it, you get a level of competence in it. And one of the things that's built into the field of NLP is the level of confidence. So it's having this balance between confidence and competence. If you think about anything that you do, think about your career, or think about your life skills or the relationships in your life. You come to it with a level of confidence, you come to it with a level of competence. So the cliche that I like to use is, if someone, God forbid, had to go for surgery and they go to the first surgeon to interview him, and he's totally confident. He says, I got this, I can do it. I no problem for this surgery. Let's get started. Let's jump in. We'll get you cured. Right. But you find out that this guy doesn't, this is his first surgery. So he's got all the confidence, but the thing is, how much competence does he have? So you go to the second surgeon, and he's board certified. He's been to this. He's studied here, studied there, all these different degrees from Harvard Medical School and Oxford, but he's nervous, and he's not really sure of what he's doing, and he comes across all shaky in his attitude, and he's like hesitant to answer your questions. So the question is, which doctor do you choose? Do you choose the one who's confident, who says, hey, I can do this, but he's never done it before? Or do you choose the one who's got all the confidence in the world, but is unsure of himself? So really, neither one. You're not going to choose either one of those. So it's really bringing to the table that you have a level of confidence because of the level of competence that you have.
That's right.
So, and that's what I love about Cal. I mean, just meeting, like, it took us about 3 seconds to evaluate each other. And it's, part of NLP is being able to evaluate people, being able to read people, and being able to do that in a way that your intention is to help them. And when you can read someone quickly and you can get to the heart of the matter, you can help them quickly. And that's really where this is a great tool. I studied with Bill O'Hanlon, and he talks about most therapy is brief therapy. They're like kind of shaving it down to 6 months of therapy. Well, there are some NLP techniques that don't even take 6 minutes, and people have gone for 6 years of therapy. I've had people with fears and phobias, and the first question I ask them is, like, have they been for therapy for that fear or phobia? Because if they say yes to that, I know my job's going to be a little bit harder. Not impossible, but just a little bit higher level of difficulty, because what they've done is they've learned how to have the problem. Whereas the tool of NLP helps you to learn how to be more resourceful. One of the presuppositions that we're going to get into is that people already have all the resources that they need within them. So anything that you want to accomplish in your life, you already have the ability to do that. You just have to find the resource within your world and apply it to what you're trying to do.
So
a lot of that is in.
Which reminds me of the time when I was in Beirut and I'm speaking. It was the first time that I am speaking in front of a large group. And here I am on stage. There's the Ministry of Education. The Prime Minister is right there. There's, general from the army, and you got principals of schools, private and public, of all the country are all there in one place in the UNESCO building. And I came there. I was invited there because we created this conference. My sister, she has connections there. We put this together. And she did the logistics and all that. And I was, studying with Landmark at the time, and we created the possibility of bringing, peace and be able to bring transformation to Lebanon. And Dr. David Purselley, founder of Trauma Release Exercises, he joined me on this adventure, and he goes with me to Beirut. And here I'm looking at, and here I am, I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at Dr. Purselley on the stage, and he's just, rocking the stage, and he's just all open. He's excited. He's just radiating and projecting love, to everybody. And I'm in my head, I was like, oh my God, how can he do this? How does he do this? And this is a question comes to me, like, how does he do this? And how can I do this? Okay. And I'm nervous and I'm shaky, like, my turn is going to come right after that. And here this Dr. David Purselley is right there. And then it's going to be me. I have nothing that comes before my name, right? There's no doctor or even Mr., right? So, and I'm like waiting for my turn. And then, after he was done, and the whole crowd just stood up and just, clapping for him. And he shared his story, and it's a beautiful story. He was at the, he was in Beirut when the embassy got bombed, and that's when he fled the embassy and he went into a bunkers, and then there was this started where the bombs just raining on those buildings, and he's just sitting right there, and he has this kid like right next to him, and he's protecting the kid. And every time they throw a bomb, boom, automatically the body, it just like go ahead and just like tighten up. And that's and then he asks himself, how come the body does this when there's a big loud noise and there's fear coming up? Why the body just automatically like tighten up like this? And that's when he started his research on discovering trauma release exercises. So many times things come to us for a reason, and it allows us to ask the question, how does that person do this? And how can I do this? Okay, which reminds me of another time when I was also in Beirut, and it was a different conference, and there was a lot of doctors presenting about learning difficulties. So I was invited to speak about learning difficulties and how to use NLP in help children with learning challenges, and how to teach the teachers how to able to work with students with learning difficulties. And everybody standing behind the podium, they all have this beautiful PowerPoints, and they all have the doctor coming before them, which is great because it gives them credibility, and they know the facts and the figures and all that stuff. And then when my turn came up, and I'm looking at everybody standing behind the podium, and I'm about to fall asleep, so no wonder how the crowd is. And I'm asking myself, am I just going to be another person that's going to fall asleep and they're on the phones and nobody's listening? How I'm going to be able to create an impact? How I'm going to be able to get the crowd to really be present with me and get the message that I'm here to deliver? How many of you on this call, you have a message that you feel that you need to get it out? Otherwise, you'll be selfish for the sake of yourself and the sake of the world, by show of hands, right? So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so definitely. So that is the power of this technology. So I go up on stage, and I'll continue the story for you later. But NLP is the art but also the science of how to model excellence within yourself and help others change their way of being, their behaviors, their attitudes, so that they can deliver this excellence, whatever that is. So we chunk down modeling. So we model excellence, we chunk it down into pieces so that you, me, and anybody else learn how to implement that. So Mark, do you want to give them like a little taste of like something like something basic, maybe like visual, VK dissociation, just something basic so that everybody can get a taste of it?
Right. I wanted to just real quickly, a story about what related to what you were talking about is I heard someone had interviewed people backstage at Madison Square Garden, a famous theater in New York City where a lot of rock concerts happen. So they interviewed Carly Simon, who's an old artist, who's a singer-songwriter, and she's kind of quiet. And backstage they interview her and they're like, "So Carly, how you feeling?" And she goes, "Well, my heart's beating a mile a minute. I'm nervous. I'm shaking. I'm sweating. I got butterflies in my stomach. And I know it's time to start freaking out." Right. So, meanwhile, the crowd, there's 30,000 people cheering her name and she's freaking out. Right. So, a couple of weeks later, they interview Bruce Springsteen and they say, "Bruce, how you feeling?" He goes, "Well, my heart's beating a mile a minute, like it's going to fly out of my chest. I feel nervous. I'm shaking like a leaf on a tree. I got butterflies in my stomach. I'm sweating. And I know it's time to get out there and rock." Right? So it's the same physical reaction that the person's happening, that there's this excitement. And I heard the other day, a doctor was talking about that the physical reaction in the body for fear and excitement are the same thing. So if you change the story that you have in your head, and I'm going to be very overt about my covertness here, in that a lot of NLP is woven into the stories that we tell, because you can learn through the story and it can create an instant change in a person. Like the first time that I was like Cal, I had to speak in front of a large group. One of my mentors thought it was funny to put me up in front of 2,000 people and say, "Okay, tell them something useful." And I wasn't prepared for this. And I probably would have done worse if I had prepared for it. But when I started speaking, what I realized was that I wasn't talking to 2,000 people. I focused on one person and I spoke to them conversationally. And then I moved around and I spoke to another person. And this was a resourceful model that my mentor had taught me years prior, but now I was able to put it into play. So a lot of times you have these tools and it's the application of the tool. It's not so much having the tool.
Yes.
So it's learning how to tell a story. It's learning how to use your language. It's learning how to use your physiology to get someone into the most resourceful state where they can make a quick transformation in their life. So
absolutely. And it's like, just like any other tool, you can use the tool for good and you can use the tool for bad. It's a hammer. A hammer, you can use it to, build a beautiful, like a table, like a wooden table, right? Or you can use the hammer to knock someone down, right? It's a tool that it's all you have the option and the choice about how to be able to use it. So in a moment, I'm going to just, give you the 6 pillars of, we're going to talk about the 6 pillars of NLP. But before we go there, let's just go ahead and experience something here real quick. So what I would like to do right now, I'm looking at you. I know you're not driving. So what I would like to do right now, if you would, is I want you to, if you're not driving, make sure you're not driving. Okay. Just close your eyes for a moment, right? Just close your eyes for a moment. And what I would like to do, just get a taste for this is all about. So this is one of the tools that's very simple, very easy. You can just, get a feeling of how does this work and why that's important. So close your eyes for a moment. And I want you to do is I want you to remember a specific time when you are completely and fully motivated. That's right. Fully motivated. Remember a specific time, fully motivated. And as you remember that time, you can just get into that and get into your body and just experience, see what you're seeing and hear what you're hearing and feel completely motivated as if it's happening right now from your own eyes. Breathe the way you're breathing then now and allow whatever feelings there for you to be present as you are completely and fully motivated. Okay. Now from 1 to 10, I see your faces. That's right. So from 1 to 10, you put a number for this. 1 is very low, 10 is very high. So make sure it's anywhere between 8 and 10. So if you want right now, let's play with it. Make the picture a little bit brighter. Okay. So make it colorful. Whatever you see, make it like more technicolor. Okay. And as you do, you may realize that emotion is getting more now intensified. And now as you do, just make it more like, moving around, make it bigger, bring it closer to you, and now you're getting it even and even more and more intensified. Now do me a favor. Now when you getting it up above in intensity, now step out of that picture. Step out of that picture. Now you can see yourself in the picture. So step out, and now you are looking at yourself in that picture. Okay. Now where is the level of motivation? Did it stay where it is, or did it drop down? Most likely it dropped down. Now let's try even more. Now instead of looking at the picture, you see yourself in the picture, make it black and white, like back in the old days. Okay, black and white, where the TVs were back black and white. Now you realize the motivation even went a little bit less now, didn't it? Okay, now make it a little bit smaller. Make that picture a little bit smaller. Now you realize even now it even went one level down as far as the motivation goes, didn't it? Okay, now we don't want to keep it there. Now make it colorful, make it big, and now step back into the picture. Okay, now looking at it from your own eyes, it's all colorful, make it movie, bring it closer to you, and now you realize that the motivation went back up, didn't it? Okay, now when I count to 3, what I want you to do is I want you to find a place in your body, probably maybe a knuckle, one of your knuckles. Okay, and when I count to 3, when the emotions goes all the way up to 10, I want you to anchor that feeling in one of your knuckles. Okay, that's going to be an anchor for you to, whenever you fire that anchor, is going to bring you to that state now, wouldn't it? So make that picture bigger, make it brighter, bring it closer to you, make it colorful as you're completely and fully motivated, like you got this, and breathe the way you're breathing as you are completely motivated. And when I count to 3, you go ahead and just, press, one of your knuckles. 1, make it bigger. 2, make it brighter. 3, and then press one of your knuckles and say a word to yourself. Maybe say yes, or say I got this, or say a word that is just going to completely represent that experience for you. So let's do it again. Make it bigger, make it brighter, make it colorful, bring it closer to you. Breathe the way you're breathing then, as you are completely and fully motivated. And when I count 3, 2, 1, press that anchor and fire it right there.
Yes.
Excellent. As well you should. All right, so come back to the here now. Open your eyes. So real quick, how many of you experience complete motivation by show of hands? Yeah, absolutely. Now what I want you to do is do me a favor. Go ahead and test that anchor right now. Okay. Himanshu, I see your hand is raised. That's awesome. Thank you. So go ahead and fire that anchor right now. So the one that you just, anchored right now, just go ahead and press that anchor. And you realize when you press that anchor, where did your brain go? How do you feel? Just go ahead and try that now. Chances are it took you there, didn't it? Okay. This is a very simple, basic NLP technique that gets you to put yourself in a high resourceful state in a second, didn't it? Right? So right now you have this anchor right here, and anytime that you fire it, you'll be able to go there. But imagine if you stack those, if you find multiple occasions when you are fully and completely motivated, and you stack them on top of the other, just like pancakes, or actually forget about pancakes. Let's talk about like money. Right, Mark? Money.
Stacks of money, yeah.
Stacks of money, one on top of the other.
On top of one, yeah.
That's right. So you stack them on top of the other, and now you fire that anchor, and boom, you are in front of a patient, you are in front of a client, you are in front of a room full of people, and you put yourself in that state, or you're just by yourself, and you feel like you just feel lethargic. And you're feeling lethargic. I don't know if I should do this. I don't feel like doing this. It's too hot outside. I just want to like sit and watch, The Price is Right. Okay, whatever that is. Now, boom, you fire that anchor and now you are in that state. Now, I know because you're here on this call, you are already motivated. That's not going to be maybe your motivation. I know you are stepping up to a bigger game that you play in your life. But consider, let's say, if you want to be focused, for example. How many of you as entrepreneurs, as leaders, we find ourselves distracted at times with a lot of things we want to do, right? And then we ended up like getting overwhelmed. I'm guilty of that. Okay. Would it be resourceful and useful so that you can get all your parts within you all aligned to serve one specific thing at a time without getting distraction? Okay. So there is tools for that. How many of you find yourself at times saying things like, part of me wants to do this, but part of me wants to do that? So I was with a client just last week. She is very successful in her corporate job, but she feels like there's a purpose, there's a higher purpose calling her. Now, part of her wants to leave the job, but part of her wants to get the security and the 401k and all that good stuff that comes along with it, and the health insurance. Okay, so would it be useful if you're able to integrate these two and bring them into all of your resources and now be able to get clarity on what you want in your life? That's another, NLP technique that you can do. So right now we're going to start moving into what are you going to learn into this certification. But before we get there, okay, I'm curious to hear if anybody has any questions. Have anybody anything to share from everything that we created here thus far? And you can unmute yourself and you can speak up. Anybody has any questions or something you want to share?
I just wanted to reiterate something, Cal, while we're waiting for...
Eddie, are you speaking or are you muted?
Okay.
I think you're... Oh, there we go. Eddie, you have something to say? We're not hearing you, Eddie. You are unmuted, but for whatever reason, I can't hear you. Maybe it's something on your part. Oh, because you're on the phone.
Maybe it didn't.
Okay, let me make clear.
No.
Okay, now you should be able to talk, Eddie. Try it now.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Well, I was just gonna say it's I'm super excited. Part of me, I was like, oh man, that's another thing to do list for me to do, and just another thing that I signed up for. And inside of what you created, I'm getting excited about the possibility, and inside of like, this is going to be fun. This is going to be interesting. I've been wanting to do this for like 20 years. I've heard about this from Tony Robbins 20 years ago, and it's I'm looking forward to it. So
that's wonderful. And
so
Eddie,
what's the biggest area you want to apply this to in your life, Eddie?
I was just dealing with something this last couple of weeks. It just seems like the little things just irritate me. How I want everything to go perfect in my schedule of my day, and once it doesn't, it just takes me out and I get irritated, and doesn't matter how much right I am, it still has an impact around the areas of my work, and that's such a basic thing. But I think a certain level of mastery on that, I can see that it would propel me to this whole different realm. And also, like this anchoring thing, I heard about it through Tony Robbins' things before, and I didn't really know exactly what it was. But you did this little simple exercise of anchoring, and what I realized is how much my motivation is right now to where I was on that particular moments that Cal, you were bringing it up, and I see the gap in that, and I'm like, oh wow, it's just like, damn, that's a big gap. So
the cool thing is you can take this to a different level also. Sorry to cut you a little short there.
No.
I wanted you to get the most from this. When you have those moments of irritation, there's something that triggers that. So that is anchored as well. The negative states are already anchored in our lives. The cool thing is when you build this positive resource state, when you stack one on top of the other, like Cal was just doing for you, now that gives you a powerful resource that when those little irritations come, you're able to collapse those anchors with this new powerful resourceful anchor that you've built. Okay, and you can utilize the same thing that used to trigger you to feel irritated can now trigger you to feel positive and motivated. I've worked recently with a lawyer who's a litigation lawyer, and he had a couple of bad cases. So he found himself walking into the courtroom feeling nervous, feeling like he couldn't handle the case, like he's had all this years of experience, but now he's lacking the confidence in himself. So we built up this super resourceful state where he thought about every single case that he's ever won, every single time he's been motivated in his life, other things in his life where he feels confident, like maybe playing golf or driving a car or, fishing with his son, or all these wonderful, great resourceful states. And I'm sure you have a lot of resources within you that you can pull up all these great and wonderful resources. And then what he did was start to look at all the things that triggered these negative states, like knowing that he had to go to court, right? So what we did is we linked all these positive states to when he got in his car to go to court, he started to feel motivated. When he arrived at the courthouse, he felt motivated. When he opened the door to go into the courtroom, he felt motivated. When he saw the wood paneling on the walls, he felt motivated. When he got, when he saw the judge speaking, he got motivated. When he was asked a question, he became more resourceful, and he was able to take all of those things that would trigger the negative state. So all those things that could trigger irritations in you, one of the tools with NLP is to kind of unpack it, to wind back and say, how do you know when to be irritated, right? Like yes. For someone who's motivated, or when you're in a motivated state, or even when Cal just did that exercising, you stepped out of it and you dissociated from that motivated state, then it felt diminished for that moment. Mm-hmm. So how do you know when to diminish a good feeling and to make a bad feeling come up? That's a skill. Like most therapists don't look at that as a skill, but that's a skill. The thing is, it's not a very resourceful skill to have. So you can take that same trigger, not change the trigger. People are still going to do the same things that they did to irritate you. But what you can do using the tools of NLP is learn how to respond differently.
Yes.
And it happens not just on a conscious level, mm-hmm. but it happens on a deeper, other than conscious level, where it's automatic. Where all those things, I was at a meeting this morning and people were talking about, their favorite ball team didn't win, or their favorite tennis player did badly, and now they're in a bad mood going into a meeting. Mm-hmm. Like, what does one have to do with the other? They're coming into a meeting, they're showing up for a client or for a friend, or even just getting together with family for lunch or something like that. These people that you're interacting with deserve the best of you. So this is what NLP allows you to do. And I see Danny on there. I mean, Danny is the master of being in great states. Hey, how you doing, Danny? My good friend, the Bloomster.
Doing great.
You bring with you your attitude and your feelings, and it's contagious. I mean, Danny's a great singer, a great guitar player, and I didn't know that about him until he picks up a guitar and starts singing. And what you can do is you can take your good feelings, your resourcefulness, your ability to handle a situation, and you kind of spread that mood. They say laughter is contagious, and that's true because people want to be in a good mood, but they allow life and circumstances and all these things to trigger them. And this is one of the presuppositions that we're going to get into is, in your life, are you the cause or are you the effect?
Right.
Like, where are you coming from? Are you causing the situations in your life? Are you the cause of your own state? Are you the cause of your own motivation? Or are you the effect of circumstances and life and all these things that get you down? And that was one of the things that we were kind of set up to be roommates at this event, but there were a lot of people at this event that I would not have wanted to be roommates with. And I'm so glad that I met Cal, and we kind of played off each other and built each other up. And there were moments where this training was very challenging. And to see how Cal reacted to certain things really built me up, and it made me more resourceful. And it made me realize, there's a book and you don't really need more than just the title of this book, but you can't afford the luxury of a negative thought.
Correct.
You know, and that's really true.
That's
You know,
true.
when you're
That's
showing
true.
up for anything in life, the people that you're showing up for, you know, you have something that you bring to that, and they deserve you 100%, 1,000%, the best version of you. And that's really what I think NLP is. It's an attitude. It's a set of tools. It's a whole bunch of aspects to it. But really the essence is it brings out the best version of you. And it helps you to bring out the best version in other people. And what greater purpose can you have in life than to be the best version of yourself, to shine and to help others to shine? You know, I saw...
Amen.
Recently, I saw Buddy Guy. I don't know if anybody here likes blues, but, you know, whether you like blues or not, you see Buddy Guy on stage, and he does more than just play guitar and sing the blues. He interjects a little bit of comedy, a little bit of stories. But I'm sitting there watching him. He's 83 years old, and he's got every single person in the whole audience engaged in what he's doing. And why is that? Because every single cell in his body, every ounce of blood in his body is filled with the blues. It's who he is. It's like he shines. My hair is standing up now, even just thinking about this. You know, when you see someone who you recognize that they're fulfilling their purpose on this planet, that they're the best version of themselves, and because you're around them, it brings out the best version in you. Like when Cal was talking about being at that event, speaking, and this doctor was up there and giving the best, and it inspired Cal to get out there and be his best, because, you know, it sets the bar at a certain level, and you want to play up to that. And this is really where NLP is. It's more than just like pumping you up and getting you motivated. Yeah, that's good for the moment. But the thing is, what keeps you consistently at that level? What keeps you at your best? And it's not always being motivated, but it's being able to be motivated. It's being able to be in control of your state. It's being able to learn the tools to help other people. And you set the example by being the best version of yourself and shining, and that allows other people around you. It gives them the permission to shine. And this is where I'm so grateful to Cal, because just going through this training and seeing people that literally, you know, they're certified trainers, but yet they're sitting there reading from their notes word for word, saying, okay, you know, they're looking down, I'll demonstrate. This is how you can be really motivating and speak charismatically. You know, I'm like, no. Cal gets up there and he's like, hey, who wants to learn how to be charismatic? You know, and it's like, I'm there, I'm in, you know, it's like, and Cal's up there, and it's like, I think the two of us were the only people who went through the whole training without using notes. You know, it's just like let's just, this is who we are. This is what we do. This is how we act in the world. And it, you know, this doesn't happen overnight. You got to go through stages of learning where you don't know what you don't know. And then you know that you don't know it. And then you know that you kind of know it. And then it becomes automatic, you know, like driving a car. You know, when you were 5 years old, you didn't know that you didn't know how to drive a car. And then maybe when you were 8 or 10 years old, you learned that you didn't know how to drive a car, you know, but then when you turn 15 or 16 or 17, you take some lessons and now you think you know how to drive a car. But then when you get to be 20, 30, 40 years old, or, you know, older, then you say, okay, I get on at exit 40, I get off at exit 47. I don't remember 41 or 43 or 42, but yet if the truck in front of you stops short, you can stop safely behind it without even realizing your foot went for the brake. But what Cal and I are all about is helping you to get to a fifth level, which is like an Indy race car driver, where now, you know, you're not thinking consciously about putting the car into gear or how much pressure you're putting on the gas pedal or how much you need to turn the wheel to change lanes, but you're looking at the strategy of excellence and saying, okay, I'm going to drop down into turn number 4. I'm going to gun it into the straightaway and I'm going to win this race called life, right? You're going to be winning at this game called life. You're going to be winning at anything you put your mind to, anything that you set up that you want to accomplish in this world. You start to think in terms of possibility. And that's to me, that's the biggest essence of what NLP does, is it eliminates the roadblocks. It eliminates the excuses. It puts you at the cause. You now become the creator of the circumstances rather than being, oh, under the circumstances, I'm doing the best I can. No, you create the circumstances, and then the best you can is create whatever you want. That's what this tool allows you to do. It allows you to have the mindset that what's possible, not thinking about what's not possible.
Obviously, we can talk about this forever.
Yeah, I can go on and on. Yeah, Cal.
I know, I can't stop. That's why I love about him. He's like, how many of you can see like the passion in his voice and the passion in his soul when he talks about it? Yeah, you can see it. And that's one of the things that you'll be learning in NLP, and that is how to be able to calibrate. Okay, how to be able to calibrate, meaning, and that's called congruence. Okay, congruence is when the words coming out of your mouth or someone's mouth, the tone of voice and the body language are all aligned to deliver one message. How many of you can see that Mark has been congruent in the message that he's been delivering right now, right? Everything, every cell of his being is speaking to that. Okay, so that's one thing that, you know, as an NLP, you start watching, you start observing, you have the sense of curiosity, okay, in everything, and your attitude becomes curiosity about everybody and how they do what they do. What are they doing that have them to start here and then go all the way up here? And then how they're able to fill in that gap. And you are thinking of so many ways right now to fill in that gap between where you are now and where you want to be. So, you know, a lot of these things that you're going to start, you know, getting on a subconscious level, okay, without having to actually consciously thinking about it. How many of you would like that? That would be cool, wouldn't it? Right? So let's talk a little bit about, you know, the certification. The certification is coming up here at September 27th. So we made it 2 options because, you know, we have some folks who are they're running a business here locally in Phoenix. Dr. Edward Harsini is running a very successful clinic where he won't be able to, you know, leave the clinic during the weekdays because he's running it. So that's why we did 2 options. And we have people like, for example, Laura. She's a world traveler and she's a master yoga teacher and a beautiful soul. And now she's actually in Lebanon. And next week she'll be back in Miami, and she's going to be flying from Miami to attend this training. So for her, it won't work where she comes for 3 days and then wait for the next weekend. So therefore, we made it 2 options so that's convenient to you know, different type of folks. And then we got also, you know, Audra, she's local, and we got Angie, they're on my team. They are, you know, going to be immersed in this, and they're going to be taking both programs, right? So that they can just get even deeper and deeper into that. So therefore, we made it into 2 options. One is we start September 27th and 28th, 29th, 30th, and we finish on the 1st, October 1st. So that's 5 days. Or we'll start September 27, 28, 29, but then we will skip that week, and then we'll finish it on Friday and Saturday of October 4th and 5th for the NLP practitioner certification. So those are the 2 options that's taking place. And then, you know, we'll carry where we left off. So when you come back on October 4th, we'll carry where you left off on September 29th. Okay, so you'll be able to get everything that you need from this training. And on between those two, we have the hypnosis certification where Mark is going to be leading it, and that's going to be coming up for 2 days in person, October 2nd and October 3rd. Okay, so for everybody who's doing the training, you have that option. This is not part of the practitioner. This is an added certification. If you want to learn hypnosis and you want to be certified in hypnosis, then you're able to take it as well. That's only 2 days.
You want to learn hypnosis?
No, what happened to that clock? That doesn't work anymore.
To watch, yeah.
And you learned.
You're getting away to learn hypnosis.
So the noise you're looking for.
What's that?
I'm just a hypnotist. That's just a suggestion.
Yeah. Well, Daniel, you said something. What is it?
I just said these are not the droids you're looking for.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. So you got the NLP practitioner certification. We got the hypnosis certification coming up in that week. We have a 2-day seminar. It's called Life by Design coming up in December 6th and 7th, where you are literally creating your goals, but also installing your goals in your timeline in such a way that your subconscious will have no option but to deliver on these goals. So going back to the story where I started when I went to Lebanon, and here I am, I'm looking at Dr. David Purselley on stage, and he's just rocking the world. Luckily, just luckily, a break that took place. So the organizer of the conference, they decided to take a break. I was like, thank you. And I go to the bathroom and I'm doing my incantation. There's a lot of noise in the background. I'm not sure who has noise in the background. I'm sorry. If you have a noise in the background, could you please put yourself on mute just for now? We're almost done, I promise. So for that purpose, so I go to the bathroom, and here I am. I'm like, firing these anchors, putting myself in that state, resourceful state, seeing what I'm seeing, hearing what I'm feeling, putting myself in that. And Dr. Purselley walks into the bathroom, and he see me doing all these crazy things, right? And he's like, Khalid, what are you doing? I was like, oh, David, I barely spoke to 5 to 6 people in my living room, and here I am speaking to 420 people. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do this, right? And I'm like freaking out. I'm like, I'm like, luckily I'm in the bathroom, so I don't have to run too far, right? For whatever that I'm worried about. And then he just looks at me and he says, whoever is in that room, Khalid, they're powerhouses. And all you got to do is focus on them and don't worry about you. And you're going to be just fine. So I go outside and go inside. I was like, and here I am. I'm go up on stage. And something very, very vivid just happened that even when I'm talking about right now, like goosebumps come up. I'm standing on stage and I'm looking at the crowd, and the picture, that image that I saw in front of me, it was exactly the same image that I created in the 2-day training that I've done back in 2008. That was 3 days before. Even the colors of the chairs were burgundy red. It's the exact same visualization that I had, and I installed that goal into the future through my timeline. It was exactly happening and unfolding in front of me, and I just couldn't believe it. Even the sounds, even the smell of the smell of different perfumes in the room, even the smell was so real that's what I created 3 years ago before that in the 2-day seminar, 2-day training that we did in the NLP 2-day training. So this stuff works. This stuff is powerful, right? And it's useful, not just for you, but for the people and for the mission that you serve. And if you're not very clear on what is the mission or the purpose, what is that next thing that's there for you? Well, guess what? You are going to discover this in that 5-day training. You are going to look at your mind. You can look at how your brain is wired and why you do what you do, and be able to tweak certain things, just like an engineer. Okay, you'll be able to say, okay, this is working for me. This is not working so much for me. I want to install that. I want this new software to be installed. And you know what? That old software is not serving me anymore. I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. Okay, and that would be you'll be the engineer of your own mind. Okay, using this power and this technology to form and shape the destiny that you chose. Which also to close about the second story that I started, which was about when I was in the conference and everybody's coming behind the podium and everybody's falling asleep. Here I am. I'm now called up to go up there. Okay, and I'm like, and I'm standing behind I figured, okay, I got to do something different. I cannot be not memorable. I cannot afford to have my message not heard. Okay, I need to make sure that the crowd can hear my message. And I know if I do what everybody else is doing, I'm just going to be, not remembered, and my message is going to go along with it. So I got to do something different. And from what we learned in NLP is that body language is 55% of communication. And I need to utilize my body because everybody's behind the podium. It's not serving them. They're hiding behind the podium. So, and the tone of voice is very monotone, and they're looking at the PowerPoint as they're speaking, right? So there's no engagement with the crowd. I must do something different. So I go up there and look, okay, so they introduce me, right? And then I come up And here I am, I'm behind the podium. I figured, okay, I can just walk outside the podium, and now I'm in front of everybody else, and I can take the microphone with me. I'll take it from the podium. So I put my hand on the microphone, and I'm gonna walk out of the podium, but it is stuck with the podium. I cannot take the mic out of the podium. So now this is stuck in the podium, but yet I want to do something different. So I still trusted my subconscious that's going to deliver, and trusted my training that I've got from NLP and everybody and everything else that is going to deliver on my message. So I left the podium behind. I let go of what the old model is, and I stepped into the new model, which is me being in front of people and engaging the crowd. And I started projecting, because I learned how to project my voice and speak from my abdomen, right? So I started projecting, and here I am. There's a room full of 220 people at that conference, and I'm projecting my voice to reach everybody else. And luckily, someone saw me from the conference, and they saw me like I'm doing this, so they come over and rescue me. They bring me a microphone that is wireless. And now I got the wireless microphone, and now I'm able to engage the crowd. And by the time that my talk was over, and here I am outside, talking, networking, people were flocking to me and telling me like, that was amazing. That was the best talk that they heard all day. And remember, I was speaking with the group of doctors, group of people who are experts in the field. They've written books and things like that. And for me, I said, like Tony Robbins talks about, like, I don't have a doctor I don't have a doctor on paper, but I have a doctor creating results. So would you want to have? You want to be just like Mark talked about in the beginning. You want to talk to someone who's competent, just competent, but he just hasn't have the credentials, or you want to talk to someone who has the credentials but not competent. You don't want to talk to either. You want to talk to both, don't you? Okay. So with that being said, I'm very excited for you guys that doing this. Any last word from anybody? Questions, concerns? We have maybe a couple of minutes more.
I'm super excited for this class personally. I'm wondering like if there's like a course map, like what next class is going to be about.
Great, absolutely. So good. So Mark, could you talk to Danny offline?
Yeah, I'm going to speak to you offline, Danny. I'm going to be doing some local classes in the East Coast as well. So I'll get you some information on that, an overview of what we're going to cover. I'll also, speak to you one-on-one and see what your goals are and how we can best, which line of study would be best for you to accomplish that. So, and anyone who's working with Cal, I suggest you reach out to him either by email or text or however you can get some of his valuable time and really design. Even if you're going to one of his trainings, you want to set up in advance so that you get the most from the training. Let him be clear on what your goals are, because the beauty of Cal that I've seen in his presentation, he can present a subject one way, or he can present it another way, or 100 different ways. And it's really a matter of shaping the content of what he's teaching to the context of how you need to learn it, and more importantly, how you're going to apply it to your life and your future. So right. That's really the beauty of NLP, is that it's kind of a guideline, and there's some structure to it, but it has a lot of flexibility that can be really customized to what your individual needs are. Even within the same class, people will learn the same thing based upon how they perceive the world. So,
exactly. So with that being said, there's a book that I recommended for you to read before the certification, and it's called The Magic of NLP Demystified. So please go ahead and download it from Audible, or get it off Amazon, and start reading this book between now and the certification, so that you are ready and dive right in into what we're talking about, and we don't have to like go into and start talking about the basics. So that's gonna move us into deeper, okay? So the magic of NLP Demystified, I sent you an email with the name of that book. So please go ahead and get it from Audible or Amazon, and attend Wednesday webinars between now and then, so that you are fully ready, fully excited, fully committed to what's possible for you, and start thinking now of what is it that you want to accomplish for yourself. As you heard us talking here today, you may be wondering how many ways you can implement NLP in your personal and professional life, but also go deeper into the purpose and the mission and the message that you have that you want to spread to the world. And now is the time. If it's not you, then who? All right. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate the time here they spent here with us. Thank you, Mark, for joining us from New York. We'll talk to you afterwards. Until then, please feel less and always be kind. Cheers.
Okay. Be excellent, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Yes.